What is going on, you guys, and welcome to another episode of Natural Hair and True Crime. I don't know why I like singing, but anyway, welcome, you guys. I hope you guys are doing amazing. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Jataia, and here on my channel I do natural hair content, I do wig reviews, and I also discuss true crime cases while doing my natural hair. So if you are interested in any of those that I just listed, I do recommend that you hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell. That way you will always be updated when I upload another video. So in today's episode of Natural Hair and True Crime, it's going to be a quick case that I ended up running across from a Facebook, like caught my attention and basically kind of helped bring awareness to situations that sometimes we necessarily don't tend to pay attention to, and I feel like it's very important that we do. And I also wanted to just say, if you notice that I'm speaking a little bit softer than normal, I do apologize. I'm trying to kind of like stay quiet because it is like late at night, and I'm also have my mother sleep in the next room and my boyfriend sleep in the living room. So yeah, trying to stay quiet. But yeah, I'm not gonna do too much rambling, but I do want to say, y'all, I am super excited because your girl finally got a new phone. I know, right? Like, it's been long overdue. Ain't gotta worry about those storage problems. I can literally talk to y'all for as long as I want to, which I know y'all not gonna want to see me that long, but still, I can record as many videos as I want at a time and not have to worry about storage. Yeah. But anyway, okay. But yeah, I just wanted to announce that and, you know, congratulate myself, because yeah, it's been a struggle trying to record on a 64 gigabyte phone. I can't believe I was actually doing it, but I was doing it, y'all. I was doing it. But anyway, yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop talking now and let y'all go ahead and get into this video. All right, you guys, so while I'm discussing today's case, I'm just going to be putting a deep conditioner in my hair. And the deep conditioner that I am using is the Urban Hydration Honey Health and Repair Deep Conditioner. Now, this is my very first time using this deep conditioner. So yeah, now I've had this deep conditioner for a minute and I'm just now trying it out. Oh well. But yeah, that's what I'm going to be trying out today. And a mini disclaimer, before I get into this case, I do want to apologize in advance. I do not have a lot of pictures for this case and for this story. I tried to do some digging and do my research, but unfortunately there just wasn't a lot of pictures for this case, and also not a lot of background information, I guess you can say. Not how I usually have in my other videos. So yeah, I'm just forewarning y'all. I know some of y'all probably like the pictures and the images, but unfortunately it's not a lot of those in today's case. But yeah, let me go ahead and get right into it. All right, you guys, so today's case takes place in the location of Uniontown, Alabama in 1985. And this is Allan Lucy. Now, Allan was born Allan Marvell to William D. Marvell and Ardela May Norragan. Now, y'all know how I do with names. If I'm mispronouncing it, I do apologize. I will make sure to post somewhere on the screen how to spell it so you can pronounce it yourself. But yeah, he was born June 8th of 1971 in Lee County, Florida. Now, at the age of 7, Allan ended up being removed from his Florida home by Florida Child Services after both of his parents ended up getting a divorce. Now, it doesn't explain what caused him to have to be removed from his home, which I'm kind of really like wondering that part myself, because it probably would have helped out a little bit into why he was even having to be adopted and, you know, just removed from his home. So after Allan was removed from his home in Florida, he ended up being adopted by Philip and Margaret Lucy, who resided in Uniontown, Alabama. Now, Philip and Margaret already had 4 children of their own, so adding Allan to the family made 5 children in all. Now, fasting forward to March of 1985, Allan ends up going missing from Uniontown. Now, when Allan first went missing, Margaret and Philip ended up reporting that he was a runaway and he ran away to go back to Florida to be with some friends. Now, while everybody was believing this, Jason, which is one of Margaret and Philip's sons, had his own story of what actually happened to Allan. Now, on March 25th of 1985, Jason ended up witnessing Philip hitting Allan in the head. And then a little bit later on that day, actually, Jason saw Philip coming back in with dirt all over his clothes and bringing in a shovel. Now, of course, Jason would tell anybody who would ask him what happened to his brother, he would tell them that his dad killed him. But for some reason, nobody believed Jason, which honestly, I'm not gonna lie, when I read this part, it kind of ticked me off, because why would he lie about something like this, about his own biological dad killing his his adopted brother? I mean, the kid literally went as far as to give details to what happened and how it happened. So why would he be lying about that? Anybody that would ask him, he would tell them that Philip killed him. And I guess nobody wanted to believe Jason because he was a child. So 9 years go by and nobody has heard of or seen Allan. Now, about 9 years after the disappearance of Allan, Margaret and Philip ended up taking out a $119,000 insurance policy on their home in Uniontown. Now, following this purchase, a month later, the Lucy's home ended up catching fire. And basically at the time, there was no known factor of what caused the fire, but yeah, it caught on fire. Now, following the house fire, Margaret and Philip ended up selling their house to a guy by the name of Kelly Kirby. So what Kirby did was he would buy different homes or old homes and basically fix them up and resell them. But he ended up purchasing the Lucy's Uniontown home. After Kirby ended up purchasing the house, he sent a group of men to go to the house so they could assess it and kind of like check over it to see, I guess, how bad the damage was, and to also check for like termites and things like that. So it was two men who ended up going under the house to check for termites. And actually, a guy by the name of Ron Adams ended up digging under the house looking for two things in particular. Ron heard of the rumors of there being either treasure or a dead body under the ground of the house in the porch area. But of course, I mean, he really wasn't thinking it was going to be a body, and he was really assuming and kind of hoping that it was just like treasure. So he ended up digging, and as he was digging, his rake caught a hold of something, and it ended up being some red bricks. And under that red brick happened to be the remains of Allan Lucy, and it was said that he was wrapped up in Disney character, I think a bed sheet, I believe. And yeah, so 9 years later, finally, after it was said that Allan supposedly ran away to Florida with friends, that was obviously not the case, and his body was found, and what Jason was trying to tell people for years ended up being true. And I apologize, y'all. Let me backtrack. But so this all happened in October of 1993, which is when Kirby ended up purchasing the house. So Margaret and Philip were actually already in police custody a week prior to the discovery of the remains of Allan. So while they were still in custody, police ended up doing an investigation on the house and interviewing neighbors. And of course, while all of this was going on, it was finally confirmed that the remains were Allan's, of course, because we all knew that. So with the investigation on the house and the statements from neighbors, Philip and Margaret were charged, but mainly it was Philip who was charged with the murder of Allan. And well, I'm just going to tell you now, Margaret actually ended up getting off. So at the first hearing, Jason ended up testifying against Philip and explaining what he saw that day of March 25th of 1985. I don't know, some probably would say he ratted on his father, but I mean, he just told what he saw. He knew it wasn't right, and he killed this boy for God knows what reason, even if it was accident or not. He killed this child and then basically tried to hide it and bury his body under the porch. So I do not blame Jason for testifying against his father. Now, the judge at the time just ended up reducing Philip's bail from $150,000 to, I believe, just $100,000, and it just turned over the case to the Perry County jury and letting them decide. And as far as Margaret, she basically was not charged at all, and it was actually granted to be let go, and she ended up moving back to her hometown and raising her children. So yeah, a woman who possibly, well, I mean, there's no doubt about it, she knew what was going on, so she was an accessory, even if she didn't actually murder Allan. But somehow she was able to get off and move back to her hometown. And yeah, and as far as Philip, y'all, just wait. So Philip spent the next 5 years going from mental institution to mental institution to basically see if he was sane enough to stand trial. I'm not, okay, now me personally, I'm not understanding the 5 years. Literally, how does it take somebody 5 years to determine if somebody's sane to stand trial or not? And, or not even much as that, it's just you allowing it. I mean, now during this 5 years, it was also said that Philip ended up firing his attorney on multiple occasions and stating that, I mean, he wasn't trying to help. And he also said that he didn't have a fair trial. But basically, to make a long story short, he was just playing the, what I say, the insanity role of making people think you're insane. Mind you, during this time, he was also constantly switching up his story, which was another thing that ended up prolonging the trial, and I guess what made it go on for 5 years. How do you get away? I mean, you talk your way out of the trial for 5 freaking years. Like, I can understand like a few months, maybe a year, but 5 years? Like, ain't no way. But yeah, finally, in 1997, Philip was found guilty of the murder of Allan Lucy. But when you finally think that Philip is going to be locked up and all of the games and prolonging is finally put to an end, he ended up appealing his sentence, and he ended up having another trial. So he ended up having another trial, but fortunately in 2001, the second verdict also found him guilty. And once again, he was charged for the murder of Allan Lucy. I'm just happy they had sense and basically could see through the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm just glad. But anyway, so finally, Philip is about to be put away for life. Literally a day after the second verdict, Philip ended up hanging himself in his jail cell with his bed sheets. And as far as Margaret, she ended up passing away from breast cancer in December of 1998. So that's what basically happened with Philip and Margaret. Now, following the suicide of Philip, some people in the Perry County ended up donating some money to give Allan a proper burial. And finally, 17 years later, Allan was finally put to rest at the Rosemont Cemetery in Uniontown, Alabama. All right, now before I get into my thoughts and opinions on this case, once again, I do want to apologize. From what I was able to research, it just didn't have a lot of information on, you know, the background and how once Allan moved in with his adoptive family, like how the family dynamic was, and was the father showing signs of being abusive in the past. Like I said before, this is kind of like a quick case because, I mean, it just wasn't a lot of information. It still caught my attention and I wanted to discuss it with you guys because, I mean, I feel like it's really an interesting case, and it's also an example of what possibly could happen, and sometimes how a child being adopted into another family, how it just might not be always the best thing. Yeah, but with all that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and get into my thoughts on this case. Okay, y'all, so when I first started reading up on this case, and it explained the part where Allan ended up having to move and be adopted because of his biological parents ended up getting a divorce. Now that part, it kind of like, it doesn't go into a specific reasoning of why Allan was picked up by Florida Child Services and had to move. It just says that they got a divorce. Now, my thought process and my opinion, I feel like the reasoning may have been because, I mean, obviously, anytime child services has to come in, it's dealing with some type of form of either abuse, neglect, or something. I mean, just because parents get divorced, I mean, they're not gonna just come and pick you up for that reason. So I'm assuming either Allan was abused, neglected, or something happened where he had to be removed from his biological parents. Now, going into this new family, I also think, I mean, I don't know, it's just a really sad case, but I honestly believe that he literally went from one abusive family to another. As far as when Allan was living with the Lucys, like I just said, I mean, obviously he was getting abused there. And honestly, what I feel happened was Philip ended up going into one of his rages that he more than likely have already done in the past before, where he's abusive towards Allan. And unfortunately, this just ended up being a very, very tragic accident. I mean, he purposely hit him, but I feel like he was just abusing him and ended up going too far to the point where it ended up killing Allan. And of course, he just hid him and buried him under the house to cover it. Now, I also believe that was probably another reason why Margaret and Philip ended up taking out that insurance policy on the house, because I mean, this probably was the plan the whole time to eventually get the money. And say the house accidentally caught on fire, and I don't know, just basically killing two birds with one stone, like set the house on fire and also get rid of the evidence of Allan's body. Now, with this part, honestly, I just feel like that was just stupid. I mean, you set the house on fire, but then you turn around and you sell it to someone. I don't know. I just don't think he was thinking. Honestly, shot himself in the foot. Because, I mean, if you think about it, you set the house on fire. Obviously, you didn't do enough damage to the house to where it was, you know, not able to be remodeled. But then you go ahead and sell it to somebody. So I'm assuming it was more of the money over them actually trying to, you know, hide the evidence and stuff and hide the body. It was just really the money all along. Because, I mean, back then in 1985, $119,000 insurance policy that's a lot of money. And this is why I really wanted to kind of like discuss this on my channel, even though it's not a lot of information on this case. I still wanted to kind of bring awareness to it, because thinking about Allan, how he was already taken from one family, and Lord knows what he had to endure with that family just to go to another family and probably more than likely endure the same thing. It's very upsetting, stories like this. But the fact is, it just ticks me off even more of like, it also gets me to thinking, so why else adopt a child in the first place unless you were just doing it because of the money? Because I know some people, honestly, and it's really sad, but they do that just to get the money out of it. Honestly, I just feel like this is all it was. I mean, Philip, he was very just money hungry. He probably didn't want this kid, or like, who knows whose idea it was to adopt a child, even though they already have 4 of their own, to adopt this child. Like, I don't know, I just feel like it was just money, like being money hungry. Now, going into the biological mother, so it basically said that she was unaware that her child was even missing until his remains were discovered. Now that part, that sounds kind of insane to me. But I mean, at the same time, who knows, they might not have had just the best relationship, and she just, I guess once the Lucys ended up adopting Allan, she just, I guess, never kept in contact with him and just assumed that, I mean, he was with a better family. The more I think of different theories and how it could have played out, it gets even sadder to me, because like, just being the mom and assuming your child is in good hands, but to even then like not ever check on him. It didn't say like that she wasn't aware he was missing until certain years. She wasn't aware that he was missing until they found his remains. Like, I think that's absolutely crazy. I mean, and then this is just my opinion. Like I say, you may not feel this way, but in a sense, I do feel like the system kind of failed Allan, just for the simple fact that, I mean, they just went off of Margaret and Philip's word that, oh, he ran away back to Florida, and nobody thought to kind of like confirm this, even with there being rumors out there that he possibly could have been buried under the house. It just frustrates me. It really frustrates me. Like, I can understand, and honestly, that happens with a lot of cases where, especially with people or families who adopt, and you know, something happens to their adoptive child, and they can just say, oh, well, they ran away, or you know, something like that, and then nobody thinks to investigate or look into it to kind of at least confirm. Because I feel like he could have been caught a whole lot earlier than being discovered 9 years later. I mean, honestly, the biological mother lives in Florida. They reported that Allan supposedly ran away to Florida. I mean, I just feel like they didn't even try. They just, I mean, nobody thought to, well, okay, well, let me at least see, since y'all claiming this, let me contact the biological mother to see, you know, has she possibly gotten in contact with her son? I mean, nobody, they just told him, oh, he ran away, and they're just like, oh, okay, case closed. Like, I don't know, I feel like it should be a little bit more investigating, or like, it should be more confirmation than just the adoptive parents were, you know? And just going back to Jason and how he, I mean, why would a child just say that his dad killed this boy just to say that? Like, man, I don't know. And then I'm just knowing, I mean, this went on, what, for 9 years? So I assume it just to have the gut to tell people that your dad killed your brother, and knowing what your dad possibly could have done to you. I mean, thank God he didn't do anything to him, but I mean, just then, like, I mean, he was very brave for that. But then now going into Margaret. And y'all, and I honestly, and once again, this is just my opinion, and I could be wrong, I feel like Philip, I mean, he was the abusive type, not just towards the children, but also possibly could have been abusive towards Margaret. And like I said, I could be wrong. She might have been just as more involved as he was. But what I'm just saying, what if the reason why, I mean, she may not have, you know, said something or just went along with it is because she really had no choice? And honestly, Lord probably would have knows what would have happened to her and her kids if she did decide to, like, step up and say something. But like, once again, y'all, this is just like my thoughts and my opinions. Comment down below. I mean, do you agree? Could that have happened? Or do you think she was just as involved as Philip was and she knew about everything and it was her idea as well? As I was doing more research, it did say once she moved back to her hometown, which was in Missouri, after the trial and everything, it said that how she basically started a new life and was taking care of her children, and Jason was helping out. I'm assuming Jason was the older brother. Yeah, I'm just assuming that because she had well, I know definitely either 3 younger children, and it was said that she was just happier after everything. So that just made me think, just like they charged her, and she was also brought in, of course, for being charged with arson, why would she not also be charged an accomplice to the death of Allan? It just doesn't make sense. It's like they felt sorry for her and knew she wasn't involved. But I mean, then again, shit, you never know. But I feel like that's definitely a possibility. Not taken up for her, but I mean, you just never know. And honestly, y'all, going back to the trial and how it took them 5 years to basically determine if the dude was sane or not. I mean, honestly, I knew it wasn't no hope then. And wondering why they didn't investigate his disappearance when it first happened. In my opinion, when people are applying, or I don't know how the process goes or how, the steps in order to become an adoptive parent, but I just feel like it should be very, very strict, which I mean, I believe it is now. I mean, it's a whole lot different now than, in 1985, but it is still some cases and instances where it has happened where unfortunately, like, an adoptive child is neglected. And unfortunately, it is some people out there who are just doing it for the money. I mean, they really could care less if the child is really taken care of or not, even if they're living in their home. They're just trying to see, basically claim them on their taxes. And I'm not saying that's always the case, but I mean, that's a big part of it. We're not gonna like just put a blind eye to it, But yeah, you guys, make sure to comment down below basically your thoughts and opinions on this case. And do you guys feel like the system could have did better in investigating his disappearance and doing manual checkups, while he was with the Lucy family? Or do y'all feel Margaret was more involved as Philip? And do you guys feel like that everybody should have believed Jason when they were trying to tell him of what Philip done to Allan? I mean, it's just so many questions. Like I said, I know it's not a lot of information on this case out there, but just, I don't know, it still makes me wonder and kind of like try to think for myself and try to put pieces together of what could have been done better to avoid this. God bless Allan. I mean, all he honestly probably wanted to do was just be accepted into a home that really loved him. And unfortunately, it seems like, I mean, from my research, not saying this is happening, but I mean, you can kind of tell from just like how the story is going and the dynamic that it just seems like he couldn't get the love and attention that he really needed no matter where he went. And unfortunately, sadly, it had to end like this. I just really hate that. With all of this being said, if you are witnessing or if you know anybody or any adoptive child who is in the care of anyone who is an abusive, or if their adoptive parents are abusive, and you know what, I do encourage you to personally, even if you have to do it anonymously, to report it. Because if you're not going to have a child's best interest at heart and really take that child as your own without having just your own personal motives for being an adoptive parent, then you just don't need to have that child. It just pisses me off. Sorry, not the word, but it just this definitely disgusts me how some people just go this route just to even try to like make money out of this. But yeah, like I said, I do encourage you, and even if you have to do it anonymously, if you are aware or know somebody where this is going on, where they're being abused or being abusive to a child, an adopted child, or not even adopted child, any child at that, please report it. Because I just feel like, I mean, they literally were pulled from their home expecting to be in a better, loving environment, just to be in the same situation as if they were still with their original home. Like, no, no, I can't, I couldn't do it. But yeah, guys, I will even go as to linking some hotlines down below. I mean, if you're witnessing this, you could literally be saving a child's life right now. Seriously. But yeah, you guys, that's pretty much all for this case today in this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Natural Hair and True Crime, because I definitely enjoyed filming it, not necessarily discussing the case, but you know, at least getting awareness out there and helping somebody else hopefully in the future and making sure this never happens to anybody. But yeah, definitely do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And also, if you guys have any cases that you do want me to discuss in the future, make sure that you link them down in the comments, and I will definitely make sure to check them out. But yeah, that's pretty much all for this video, you guys. I love you, and I will see you in my next one.